Never fear, the Black Belt Bots are here, presenting another epic experience with your host, RJ Redden.
Hey everybody, welcome, greetings grasshoppers, and welcome to another episode of the Epic Engagement Adventure. Today I have a friend with me. He's my friend now. I don't know if he knew this yet, but we are friends.
I'm in.
A friend and an absolute specialist. I tell you, I had a conversation with this guy, changed the trajectory of my life. Do you know what it is to have that kind of conversation with somebody? I couldn't help but invite him to be on the show. I could not. Resistance was futile. So I would like to introduce to you Dr. Philip Agrios, and he's going to talk to us about some beautiful, wonderful, important stuff today. Dr. Philip, how are you?
RJ, great to be here. I'm doing fantastic. Thanks so much for inviting me. I'm honored to be here.
You bet. You bet. I met you at a networking, and I just had to talk to you, and I'm so glad that I did. So let's start with some basics for those who don't know you yet. Who are you? What do you do? Tell us everything.
Hi, everybody. My name is Philip Agrios. I'm a business breakthrough specialist, international speaker, and best-selling author. Basically, I used to be a chiropractor and a functional medicine practitioner. My specialty was thyroid and autoimmune, the sick of the sickest. And I was able to discover something that's all within us. And I was having phenomenal breakthroughs with my autoimmune patients, which is unheard of. And then I started realizing my patients who were business owners were also making major breakthroughs in their business. And I never thought about using a discovery that I made for business. So I started utilizing it, wrote my book, and then I started getting referrals internationally and decided to close my practice and now do this full time. So the thing that I discovered was a inborn saboteur that we have. We call it the inborn sabotage trait. It doesn't undermine us, but it actually protects us from the very success that we seek, because if we achieved that success, we would be in more subconscious pain. So we never get to that point. And when I first found this, I'm like, there's no way. This is too simple. That this trait has caused all my problems in the past down to my childhood. It's causing all my problems now, and now I can predict my future. I'm like, no way. So I went out to try to disprove it. And over 30 years of thousands and thousands of people, I couldn't. And I actually found a way to switch it off instantly, and it worked 100% of the time. Now, I'm from Jersey. You tell me this works 100% of the time, I'm going to say bullshit, right? So hope I can say those words and offend anybody. But good. I'm glad. So I went out to try to disprove that. And whether you're a CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company or a child or a teenager, this works 100% of the time. And the solution, we call it, is called the antidote. So that's one of the things I have discovered.
And so there were three when we talked, right? Three traits.
7-8 billion people. There are actually 3 traits that are within us, and we call those traits the director, the supplier, and the communicator. And all 3 are within us, but arranged in such a way that once I know that sequence about you, I can tell you everything about you and never meet you. And there's only 6 patterns of human behavior. So when I'm talking to your audience, I'm really only talking to 6 people. Because when I talk to that, because we're all bunched into this sequence, and again, I didn't believe this, but could not disprove it. So once we understand that, like for yourself, when we did things with you, I told you things about you that you didn't know about, or I didn't know about you, I should say. And it allowed you to make some shifts pretty quickly, because when we talk about the antidote, we actually go down to the subconscious mind and bypass the conscious. And it's not scary, we're not doing hypnosis. It's just something where you go, wow, this makes sense. He understands me very quickly. I remember having a patient years ago, and after I got talking with him, he's like, his wife comes in and goes, oh man, this is great. I do this. She says, what are you talking about? Your therapist will tell you that for 10 years. Yeah, but he just said it in such a way that it just resonated. And that was the key for me at that moment was, wow, we're resonating to people in words that I know that they're really struggling with. But that's the key for them to evolve. Because this saboteur isn't there, like I said, isn't a negative. There's nothing wrong with you. You're just in protection, because that's what we do. We protect, we grow, we expand, we contract, we give and take. We're vibrational beings. So when you start to release your personal professional power and you start to feel uncomfortable, that inborn sabotaging trait kicks in to protect you. So when you're ready to do that, what we do is by using the antidote. If your life is going or your business is going south, would you want something that might work, or you want the antidote, right? Just like if you're bitten by a venomous snake, right? So the reason why it works so great, because the saboteur and the antidote are opposite to each other. So when you use the antidote, you can't sabotage your business or your personal life, and that's guaranteed 100%.
It just seems like there's this sure, of course I'm speaking half to cough, but we're humans. We're destined to dream further than where we stand. But this saboteur also kind of it's the balance. It's that thing that pulls us right back and says where you are is so safe, it's so great.
Right. No
And
matter how
so
painful it is. So you have two different pains. So you're going to most likely, majority of people pick the lesser of the two pains. So we stay in our uncomfortable situation because we know that subconsciously if I hit that success, because there's really three reasons why we sabotage ourselves. So I know I interrupted you, but I apologize, but there are three basic reasons why we sabotage ourselves. You want me to explain that, or it's up to you? I know we only have a few minutes to do that.
oh yeah, go right into it. I would
So
love
real
I would
quick,
love the audience to hear
it's
it.
when you get to that point. So you ever have where you had success before and then you lost it? It's more painful to have success again and lose it, so you never get to that point again. Especially like if you had your heart broken, right? So people never find true love again, because if they found it and they lost it, it would be more painful. Number two is I got to do what? I got to watch this podcast. I got to go to this guy's workshop. I got to read a book. I got to go back to school. Oh man, I'd rather binge watch Netflix on this show, and then later I'll do it. So I have to do what to get to that point, and people will never want to do that because it's too painful. And the third one is people go, hey, I want to double my business. And I go, no, you don't. If you did, you would have done it already. Because if you did, you never see your family. You have to be so overwhelmed because you're not automated. You don't have the things all set up. So like with clients of mine, I'll go, no, the last thing you need is marketing at this moment. We need to get you structured it, because if you start bringing more leads in, and all of a sudden you're going to crash. You've probably seen that with people. You got to get a little more automation and then bring the leads in, and then they feel much more effective. So those are the basic three reasons we find people sabotage themselves.
Yeah, we'll get into this in a sec. But you have a quiz that tells people. Well, and you also have a consult that you give. And gosh, I was sitting in the one with you, and I just could not believe how well you described some of the deepest problems that I have, and you'd known me about 5 minutes.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's what's really cool about it. But it wasn't scary, was it? It was just like, wow, and how I present it is there's no judgment, right? There's no judgment. There's nothing there. It's just, this is what's happening. You were born with this. You're not an idiot. You're not a loser. All the hundred of negative words you're using about yourself. You're just in protection. I don't care if you go into the corner with a pillow, suck your thumb in a fetal position on the floor. I'm good with that. You're just in protection. The challenge is how long. So how long will you stay in your saboteur? How long are you going to keep in that being so comfortable that now it causes so much pain that you're now forced to act, compared to acting on your terms and in a balanced way, so things go more effectively. But you got to realize this. I was on another networking, and I talked and I said, look, we're here not to have everything go great for us. We're here for the contrast. We're here for the challenge. I don't know if you're into sports, but if you're at a football game and only the offense shows up and not the defense, how long are you going to be there? How long are you going to watch a movie with no villain, right? We would be then having a conversation that everything went so well for us, we'd be bored, right? So there's adversity there. So when you're ready to evolve, when you actually feel horrible or negative or whatever, get excited because you're ready to evolve. You're at that point to evolve. So don't get on yourself. Focus. If you know the antidote, you use the antidote, and then you can move forward to evolve even further. I mean, we're not going like this, but you can just kind of like do one of these, right? Just like the heart does. So that way, you're not going to contract too long, because that's a problem. If your heart contracted continuously, you'd have a problem. If it contracted too long, you'd have a problem. So the expansion and contraction is normal. It's just how long and how much it happens and how much of balance is it in. And that's the same thing with your life and your business.
Well, it is. And it sounds like, a lot of times when we're feeling negative, that is people kind of, I've heard a lot of, there are so many experts out there, Dr. Phil, you know what I'm saying? But people talk about, you got to get rid of those feelings. You got to get rid of all of that. What you're saying is there's no need to try to get rid of that. There's just a need to drink out of the antidote glass for a second. Get your stuff back on balance, and then realize how that helps you, how that hurts you, and make it more of a choice when to use that,
Right.
and less of a reaction.
See, you'll never, ever get rid of your inborn sabotage trait. You'll never get rid of sadness. You'll never get rid of anxiety and all that, because everything's within you. You're the mass murderer. You're Mother Teresa. You're the beautiful woman. You're the ugly woman. You are the hateful person. You are the loving person. Everything's within you. It is up to you what you want to tap into to show yourself in the world. So there is no such thing as lack. There is no, if you have lack of money, it is because it's showing up to reinforce the vibration that you're emanating. That if you actually had money, you'd lose it. How many times we've seen lottery people get large amounts of money, and they're in the worst state. But what happens is, if you actually had the money, it can't, because it doesn't resonate with the vibration. Change you. That's what we do in our 5-week online course. That's guaranteed to shift your vibration, and then things start happening to you. That person that's in your life that you hate is a part of you you can't hate. They're just showing up to show you what you're not dealing with, and it's the inner saboteur. Once you deal with that saboteur with the antidote, two things happen. That person leaves, or they change because they still want to be in your world.
And that's amazing. Haven't we all had those people that are just like, oh, if I could just get rid of this person, and
you don't want to get rid of that person. You want to have that experience to find out how it is with you. And I've had people so many times say, there's no way that is me. And for the technique I use, they go, oh my God, it is me. And I said, let's get excited. Thank them. One of the things, by thanking the person or the bad experience that you have, when you thank them, you acknowledge it, therefore you control it. And then you say, thank you so much for this opportunity to go back to the old me, but you no longer serve me. This serves me. The antidote serves me. And when you do that, that's when the shift hits.
Well, I could talk to you for hours about your method. Given enough time, I certainly will. But I want to shift for a second. Want to shift into you practice a specific type of engagement that I love, use myself, and think is awesome. And you have people do a quiz. Can you talk about why you do that? How does it benefit you? How does it benefit the people that take the quiz?
So when I first created this, I needed to know quickly where people's sequences. So we have a dominant trait, a mediated trait, and the saboteur. That's your superpower. And once I could understand that, and I found it through the quiz, because then we have a workbook. So in our 5-week online course, we have a digital workbook. So when you put the information in, it populates throughout the whole entire workbook, and your life comes down to one sentence. So when I started utilizing it with my patients one-to-one, and then started putting into the workbook, I realized that I only needed 9 questions. Because how many, especially with a lot of the personality sequence, tests, there's like 186 or whatever. And what's really interesting, they're always a 4 quadrant, right? They always have 4 quadrants. Well, they missed 2. There's actually 6. So that's why in about a minute, you can take the quiz and get your results, because immediately then I know that sequence. So the quiz was a huge advantage for me, because once I knew that, I could do it. Now, if you and I were just talking, I can ask you a few questions and ascertain your sequence in under a minute myself. But with people doing it and then getting the results, then they start seeing, wow, that's just really amazing. He knows who I am. And then we offer a strategy call where they will bring a business or a personal challenge. I'll show them how that saboteur, their inner saboteur, has caused and created that challenge. And then by using the antidote, give them at least one step to shift. And then in 3 days or less, they'll shift, which we did for you. And you saw the difference within the 3 days. Actually, I've had people within an hour and a half would call me and go, oh my God, what a shift. And that's where, when I was using with my patients, it was tremendous. So the quizzes are really, really effective. And now there's challenges. We're looking at about doing a challenge. So hire somebody to start doing that as well.
Yeah. Well, challenges, that's my favorite stuff. We've got one coming up here at the end of the month. But that quiz is something that it's such a beautiful first touch point with someone, because in your case, you're telling them, what this inner saboteur is, what kind it is, and the information about the antidote as well. It's like really, it's incredibly valuable to know, and it's incredibly valuable to figure out what words or what actions can start to turn a situation around, or turn your life around, or a relationship.
Yeah.
Man, sometimes people sit with mindset coaches for a year and don't figure that stuff out, Dr. Phil.
Well, that's the cool part, especially in our group, our live group coaching course. You'll never hear me go, so RJ, how do you feel about that? I already know. I'll tell you exactly what's going on. And then I give you the opportunity to move forward in that direction or not. And then people come back going, I didn't do this and this. And I realize how much that saboteur has caused a problem in my business. And I go, let's celebrate. And looking at it like I'm out of my mind. Let's celebrate, because now you really are seeing it. So don't get down on yourself, get excited. And then from there, let's move forward in that process, because it's pretty deep within you, and other people can shift pretty quickly because they're not as connected to it. But, everybody's different, but there's no judgment.
So with the quiz then, do you find that the people that are coming and, quote unquote, sitting in your chair, I know everything's Zoom now, but the people that are coming to that first appointment, do you feel like they're more qualified than they were before?
Well, absolutely, because now I know who they are. I know the resistance, and now I can give them something they've been looking for a while. When I was in practice, I had, when I was on disability, I lost my practice and I got myself back practicing, but I had no receptionist and everything else. And during that process, you'd walk in and it would be a living room, right? Hardwood floors. And this is where, and then I had no receptionist. I had a VA back in 2013 where people weren't really looking at it. But then what happened was no one could ever sit with me unless they watched the 40-minute video about thyroid or whatever the case may be, because I was finding myself, I was talking the same thing over and over again. I'm like, why am I doing this? So we would have sequences and funnels and all that back then, so that by the time they sat with me, they felt comfortable with me because they heard from me minimally 7 times, whether it was the VA calling them or a video from me or we were confirming it. I would even have a video of say, hey, welcome, this is what you're going to do. You're going to walk in, and they knew when they walked in, they already saw the office. So you want the people to know you more by connections, as you know. I don't have to tell you that. And by doing so, they'll feel more comfortable. Therefore, they're better at possibility of hiring you for your service because they feel more comfortable with you.
Yes.
And you're building a relationship without even talking to them.
That's true.
Which is key, which people don't realize, especially with network. Hey, this is what I do. No one, unless they're desperate, they're going to want you. They want to create a relationship with you to see if you are, because they need to trust you more. And that's where the quiz is going, wow, this guy is not BSing me because what he's telling me is true. This is, and when I use this, but how do I do this? Because it goes much, much deeper, of course. But we give them this tip of the iceberg. And if the tip of the iceberg does what it did for you, you're going to want to know what else I have that no one else has in the world. And that's the key. No one else has this.
It's true. And the coupled with sitting with you and I mean, if you haven't sat with Dr. Phil yet, let me let you know that at least judgmental person, and so it's so gentle, gets right to the point without being aggressive about it. And just I had a wonderful time sitting with you because I really felt like,
thank you,
within 5 minutes we were in a deep conversation that I have had with very few people. And so it was like, this is really something. And having people qualify themselves first, you're an old hand at this, which is beautiful. When I was first in business, I chased down every person on the block. I tried to chase and convince rather than attract and engage, and it didn't do me well. But using the power of an interactive lead magnets, people call them, I guess. But for me, it's that start of the customer journey being an interactive. It's a much more easy conversation and so super easy to get to the point when you finally do get in somebody's chair.
Yeah, and its key word is qualified. So what you can do is you can add another questionnaire. Right? A questionnaire gives them information before they get on the call, what they're looking for, and things like that. So you want sometimes different resistance. So we're trying different things right now as well. You always want to test, as you know, and you don't never just, in automation, it's never just leave it and move on because things break and everything else. You have to consistently look at your analytics to determine, am I helping people? What am I doing that maybe not bringing more people in that I can help? Not how much money you can make, because money will always along with that. But it's always about, and it's not overly serving people either. That's the saboteur within you. You want to help somebody so much that you are going out there going, I got something for you, and then it would actually devalue you and push people away. And once you started to value yourself, which is the antidote for yourself, it allowed you to start shifting and see the reaction. But yeah, you want qualified people, and don't overly share. One of the saboteurs is that they overly give too much because they want to show how much value they have, but you actually devalue them or you overwhelm them. So that's one of the key things. Have you seen, people that overly talk a lot, they talk too much, they actually talk themselves out of sale. That's their superpower, and it's because of their saboteur. And a lot of sales managers will go, hey, you need communication skills. And they go, no, that's the last thing they need. They're awesome at communication. It is their saboteur. Once they use their antidote, their effectiveness comes immediately. I had a client who did that. And within 2 weeks shifting it, she made $84,000 in sales because she wasn't overwhelming them. Yeah. And when you don't sell and you don't close, it's actually your inborn sabotager trait stopping you because it's more painful to close that person than not. And we prove that 100% of the time.
Yeah, I mean, that is amazing stuff, and just proof positive. I had my meeting with you, and then you gave me some instructions and said, do this for about 3 days, and I was like, this is exactly where I needed to be. I was way too far out of the circle. trying to help and prevent and do all of these things, and nobody was valuing it. And I was like, why is this happening?
Because you didn't value it. It always comes down to us. Sorry, people. It always comes down to you. Everything outside of you is you. You can't change the outside without you changing the inside. It will not happen and can be consistent. That's just how it is. You know, it's law.
It's the law, people. So you probably have noticed, y'all, that there's a link floating around down below. And that link is bookwithdrphil.com. So go to that link. And what'll happen is you book with the man standing beside me here, virtually, of course. You get to book some time with him. And would you like to go into what happens on that appointment a little bit?
Yeah, sure. You'll go to a page, and then you'll read some things about me, and then you'll click on it. You go right to the calendar. You pick the time and date. You then, when you click on that, you'll get a reminder, a few of them to remind you about the Zoom call, and then you'll come onto a page where there's 3 videos combined. They're 13 minutes. It really goes deeper into it. I want you to read the watch that. It's only 13 minutes. You can put it even on double time and do it in less time. And then you have opportunity to take the quiz. And then once you get the quiz, you'll look at your results, and then you give me one business or personal challenge on the call. I will then tell you how the saboteur has created that, and then I'll give you one thing to start doing with the antidote and move forward. And then we'll talk about if you are a candidate for any of my programs. And if you're not, we're not going to talk about that.
I want to talk about my experience taking the quiz for just a second. Now, again, the quiz comes after sitting down with Dr. Phil, but what if I told you that in 1 minute or less, you could find the mechanism that has caused a lot of pain in your life, and probably a lot of pleasure too, that if you learned how to control that mechanism, you'd be able to have a lot of things solved and at your beck and call? What if I told you that? I mean, the quiz is exactly like that. 9 questions. It is not, you don't write things. It's just boop, 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 click, click, click. Okay. And you can have that done. And what if I told you this secondarily? What if you had a quiz like that? You know who to come to if you're interested in that kind of stuff, yo. That's kind of, we have run out of time. I can't believe that we went that long.
Wow.
I wasn't even looking at the clock. Doc, can you leave us with any final pearls of wisdom?
If you're in a stress mode at this moment, I just want you to do 2 words and repeat it right now. It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. It's okay. Doing that, it helps shift you a little bit. Look at what experience you're having and what benefit is it trying to tell you. Just that one little thing I want you to do. And then take the quiz, book with me. We'll go through that, and I'll show you whatever you're going through. It's from one thing. You only need to focus on one thing. We'll prove that to you. And just do that. And if you don't book, that's fine. If you're not ready to shift, please don't book. I don't want to waste your time. So just, if you do that, that would be great. Just, it's okay. What is the benefit? Just by doing those 2 things can help shift your day.
Beautiful. Well, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for coming in and hanging out with me and my audience, and presenting us some awfully great truths and some solutions that I think that people are madly hunting for these days. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. Well, you heard it here first. Well, probably not here first in the world, but you did hear it here. Bookwithdrphil.com. Go hit on that link. I think we've got the link somewhere. We'll have it in the show notes as well. Take a ride down this little track and see if this is something that you really, really respond to. And think about those quizzes, people, because they are super ridiculously powerful. With that, I'm going to round us up. Russ, will you play us out?
Never fear, the black belt bots are here, presenting another epic experience with your host, RJ Redden.